All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. This is Coach Aaron with continuing with reading my chess book. We're looking at middle game tactics, and this problem here it's white to move, and we're going to find the best line, the best continuation, and we're going to take advantage of the pins. There's just a couple of pins here that allow there to be tactics. So we'll start with the rook on f6 is going to capture on e6. And notice that black cannot take back because of the pin that I just was just mentioned. But black has some counterplay, so black's going to play queen h4 first. And now black, I believe, is threatening to start capturing here, and after recaptures with the check, then we're going to checkmate. So some black threats are that's a tough move. So white's going to defend by playing rook f2. And now here black continues by taking on g3, because again exploiting their own knight, their own pin here against. So it's the same idea that white had played on move 1. Now black plays on their second move. Okay, and then here white responds with rook to e7. And the author gives this as a good move, and I believe it's because, well, first of all, we're breaking the communication between the bishop and the queen. That's number one. Number two is the bishop cannot take the rook because it's pinned against the king here. So again, another pin that's being utilized. So there's really the bishops are not really defending that square, and also the king cannot take the rook because of the pawns defending the rook. So we're just putting more pressure on the f7 square, and also threatening queen taking. That's the queen taking the bishop is the immediate threat. Sorry, this is the immediate threat, and the capture on f7 would be a secondary pressure move here. And so black to move now, plays rook to f3. Okay, at least dealing with one threat. But now, after queen takes the bishop on d8, check. Here the author gives that white wins, and no other lines. So only move here would be for the black king to get out of the check. And now we see the idea behind the black's previous move playing here. Now white doesn't have this resource right away, or with either rook capturing on f7, because we've interfered with the rook on f3. And so white would like to continue this attack, but not so easy. But let's just see what we can find here, because there's a number of different ideas here. The first, I'm looking at a rook taking on f7 with check, which now leaves this attack on the black queen. But after retakes, then I'm kind of wondering. I'm wondering if we really have anything, because this rook would have to recapture on f7, but the king could then just recapture. So we're trading everything, and at the end of the variation, we're down on exchange. So yeah, we have some pawn compensation, but maybe there's something stronger. Maybe we can. Well, we can't alleviate the pressure here. We can't capture here because we would leave. Well, there's still a bishop. There's still a bishop here defending. So maybe we can just try to liquidate here to a winning endgame. But it seems let's just try it. Let's try this line After rook takes, pawn takes, now the threat's going to be f2, and our bishop's going to be in some trouble. But maybe we're fast enough. Maybe we can be fast enough. Check with the king, now exposing the queen to attack. King takes. I don't think this is enough. I really don't think this is enough. Because yes, we do have a passed pawn, but once we play king, once black plays king to e7, pawn e6, we're not promoting here. We're just not going to promote at all. And we just don't have enough. We just don't have enough power here, I don't believe. Because black's going to play, well, black wants to play this move next, but maybe that's not strong enough yet. Maybe he's got to play something like rook f4 first. And now this is a real threat. So bishop's going to capture the pawn on a7. Pawn's going to advance, and I just don't think white is fast enough. White's not fast enough here because we're going to promote here with a checkmate. So we really have to be careful as white here to prove a win. So it might just be a slower move. After king g7, we might just have a slower move. Something like pawn to d7, okay? Because now what we're threatening is, again, this discovery check on the king, trading off the queens, and then promoting the pawn at the end of it, at the end of the sequence. So black is going to have to come up with something a little bit more drastic. So the main point might be to first defend against the threat. So now what happens is we get this rook check, but now our rook is defended by the end of the line. So once the king moves out of the way, we have to move to g7 so that we don't drop our queen. White's going to capture anyway. Queen takes, rook takes. Okay, and now we want to promote, but again, the rook is defending, so we can just probably go with an attack. Check on the king. And are we getting, is black maybe getting checkmated here, maybe? Check. King plays over. And I would love to be able to checkmate. We're not going to checkmate here, but maybe we can have an interference of ourselves. Interference here. And now we've blocked the coordination. The pawn's going to promote to the queen next move with a win. Black's pieces are not coordinated anymore because the queen is gone. So this seems like a little bit of a stronger line. If rook captures, pawn's going to recapture, and the pawn promotes next move. Black can try to attack the rook, but we can just move out of the way if we want. I don't like to give up material even when I'm ahead here, because why give counter chances? Why give counter chances? We don't want to give counter chances. We just move away because black can't stop the threat, the promotion. So let's just play out the line. Oh. Black's going to try to counterattack. Okay, let's just give black a little bit of counterattacking possibilities just to show here that there's no threat. If we check, the king's just going to capture. If we take with the rook, check, well then the bishop will just capture, only move, and now black is just completely losing here. Black is completely lost. So let's go back just to double check real quick to see if we missed anything in this main line with d7. Sometimes these quiet moves seem to be the strongest. Let me just see if I've missed anything here. Okay, I'm not quite sure. let me just double check with the engine, just because this video is going a little long. I'm just going to double check just to see if I missed anything. Okay, the engine likes rook e8, immediately, and that makes some sense. Now looking at it, you're forcing the queens off the board, and then you're just going to go for the winning endgame after this. Okay, makes sense. It's not as forcing. I think the reason why I played the d7 line is because it forces the action for black. Black has to do something. But I guess maybe black can have this resource of rook h8, and now forcing a liquidation. But this might be okay. Let's just check it. Queen takes with check, forcing queens here, and now rook e8. Okay. But we do have to contend with now the defensive move of rook to d3. And now if we take... now we have to figure out a way to convert this because after rook takes queen, the king can take the rook first, because the pawn's not going to promote without the rook having something to say about it. So we have to get a little spicy, defend with the pawn, and now we're threatening to play e6 next. Pawn takes, and this is okay for white. Check. King plays out of the check, but now we promote. And this is, I think, is going to be winning for the white side. No problems here. So black does get some counterplay in these lines. So if black doesn't take, then the pawn's going to advance next move, and the rook cannot defend against can defend against the two pawns on the 7th. So I don't even think king playing first can help. Let's just double check the line. Pawn advances, and now the square for the king is taken. We don't have time to push forward, so rook takes pawn, and then the pawn promotes. So these are all winning lines here. So the d7 move looked natural, but let's just for posterity, we will check the engine line. In some of these videos, I didn't really want to use the engine wherever possible, but some of these lines are going to be difficult. They're not going to be right away obvious in some cases, and so I'll take the liberty and use the engine a little bit in order to try to demonstrate the best possible lines and improve. And over hopefully the course of reading the book, my calculation will improve, and so we won't have to resort to the engine so much. Okay, rook d3 here, and then rook to d7. The engine gives. Okay, that makes some sense because we're going to reintroduce the pressure on f7. King's going to play to g6 to get this rook back onto the defense, and then after king g2, we're going into the endgame where black is just going to run out of useful moves. White, on the other hand, will keep improving the position. This is a good move because now it stops this type of pressure, or even the rook coming down later and pinning the bishop. So a little bit more of a freeing move for the white side. And then after rook plays on h5, we're just going to look a couple more moves here to see the ideas that the engine's going to come up with. Okay, rook's going to play to f6 with check, attacking the king. King only move to g5 is probably better. Yeah, I think it's better than retreating, perhaps. And then the rook's going to take on f7. The rook on d, rook is going to take on f7, yep. And now we're just going to prepare for the advance. And even if the black rooks try to coordinate against the white king, yeah, now we've got mate in. Okay, mate in 3. Rook g7, check, king h4. Wow. Wow, very nice. Bishop's going to play at f2. Yeah, bishop f2. And now here it's... And now it's over with these moves. So very nice game, very nice problem. I'm going to promote the rook e8 line just because that was the engine line. Rook e8, and then we're going to show that checkmate. So quite a deep problem, but the main idea I think that initially the author wanted to give was just earlier on that it just won the material on after d8. Here the author just wanted to show that here we utilized the pin, but didn't give any more after that. And obviously it just had more. There was just a lot more to this problem than meets the eye. So definitely a good tactic training is to continue on with the problems as best as we can, and this engine sometimes helps out. So thank you so much for looking at the video and hanging with me for the entirety of it. Hope you got some pointers, and we'll see you on the next video. Thank you.